proceed with the discussion. Are we being recorded? Ayan, so we are now recording this session, and for this part, we're going to finish the types of chemical reaction, especially yun sa oxidation reduction reaction. Okay, so this is the type of chemical reaction which seems kindly intimidating at first, no? However, when you get used to it, madali na lang siya. Okay? So later on, I will give you tips on how to answer the questions in your quizzes, okay, sa lecture. So with that, let's start. So the last type of reactions in aqueous solution is the oxidation reduction reaction, or also called the redox reduction, the redox reaction. Okay. Bakit siya naging redox? The red comes from the reduction and the ox comes from the oxidation. Okay. Actually, when we have a redox reaction, there are two different reactions happening at the same time. Okay. So ano uli nangyayari kapag redox reaction? There are two reactions happening at the same time. Okay? Sabay sila nangyayari. What are those reactions? The oxidation reaction and the reduction reaction. Ano ba nangyayari when our substance undergoes oxidation reaction? It loses electrons. And kapag reduction, it gains electrons. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, when we have a redox reaction, ang common example dito is that yung rusting of iron, di ba? So, kunwari, nangalawang siya. Okay, so, when our iron rusts, no, in the presence of oxygen or water in the air, okay? So, this is the formula, okay? This is a redox process na, actually. This is a redox process. Bakit? Kasi, look, no, your iron, ano yung charge niya dito? Okay? So, it is not a charged particle, okay? Pero pagdating dito, sa kabilang side, charged particle na siya kasi ionic compound na siya. Okay? So, basically, when you have a redox reaction, nagkakaroon ng ganong change, no? Okay. Before, wala siyang charge. Pero after the reaction, naging ionic compound siya. Okay? So, yun yung isa sa mga, patunay that reaction is redox. Okay? That reaction underwent some transfer of electron. Okay? So, yun yung isa sa mga examples ng redox reaction natin. Kunwari yung isang metal naging ionic compound or yung ionic compound naging metal. So, yun yung common forms of redox reaction. Okay? So, in order for you to memorize who gives off or takes in the electron, we have this mnemonic called the oil rig. Okay, so ano yung oil rig? Oxidation is losing, reduction is gaining. Okay? So, yan. So, alam mo na kung sino yung maglo-lose ng electron at sino yung magigain ng electron. Okay? So, pag naglabas ng electron, losing electron, anong reaction yon? Oxidation. Pag tinanggap yung electron, it's um, a reduction reaction. Okay. Ito yung question natin ngayon. What happens when an atom loses electron? Okay. So, when your atom loses electron, nawawala yung negative. Ibig sabihin, mas nagiging positive siya. Okay? So, its charge becomes more positive when your atom loses electron. Okay? It's now raining. Anyway, so when your atom gains electron naman, what happens to the charge of an atom? The charge of an atom becomes much negative. Okay? Mas lalo nagiging negative. Kasi you know that electron is negative. So, if you put that in your atom, mas nagiging negative nga siya, right? So, ganun ha. So, when you have an oxidation reaction, it loses electron, hence it becomes positively charged. Okay? And then when you have reduction reaction, the electron gains an electron, making it more negative. Okay? So, dun sila nagkakaiba. Okay? So, ayun. So, ito yung question. How will you know if your atom loses or gains electrons? You can determine that by using their charges. But the more exact term we use in redox reaction, hindi yun charge ng atom. We call it the oxidation number. Okay? So, again, pag sinabi kong oxidation number, basically, this is just the charge of an atom. Okay? Di ba sabi ko kanina, for you to determine if siya ay na-oxidize or na-reduce, okay, just look at the charge. Pag tumaas yung charge niya, oxidation yan. Pag bumaba yung charge niya, reduction yan. Okay? If it becomes more positive, oxidation, more negative, reduction. But the more specific term we use in redox reaction is hindi yung charge. We use the term oxidation number. Okay, so what is an oxidation number? Oxidation number is the actual charge of an atom in a compound or an element. Okay, and for us to know kung ano yung oxidation number ng ating element, we have 5 rules to follow. Okay, so 5 rules ang kailangan sundin para makabisado to. Okay? So, another kakabisaduhin. Pero ako, I highly suggest you to just make kodigo muna. Okay? Anyway, this topic will be very helpful pagdating ng analytical chemistry. Okay? So, that's why starting from now, you really have to study this now. So that when we do analytical chemistry next sem, madali na lang. Okay? So, again, there are 5 rules in determining the oxidation number. And all you have to do is just memorize them, and then later on, we'll apply that concept in redox reactions. Okay? So, rule number 1. So, the oxidation number of of an elementary substance is 0. Okay. Ano meaning ng elementary? When you say elementary, it is in its elemental state. No? Okay. Elemental state. Okay. So, ano yung elemental state? Okay. So, for metals, monoatomic yun. Okay. Ito, take note nyo to ha. Kakabisaduhin lang to. Okay, so for metal, the elemental state is just monoatomic. Okay, so for example, aluminum, copper, zinc, iron. Okay, so these are the atomics or the elemental state of metals. For gases, ito yon: oxygen gas, chlorine gas, hydrogen gas, nitrogen gas. So those are the elemental state. So, ano mapapansin mo when you have an elemental state, no? The compound is just composed of the same elements, okay? The same elements lang yung composition ng compound mo, okay? Whether that's monoatomic, diatomic, or tetraatomic, okay? So, ganun. So, that's the elemental state when your compound is just composed of the same elements, okay? So, that's the elemental state. Ano daw sabi? Kapag daw may elemental state ka, the oxidation number is automatically 0. So, ibig sabihin, the oxidation number of oxygen is 0, the oxidation number of chlorine is 0, the oxidation number of phosphorus is, hulaan nyo, 0. Oxidation number of hydrogen gas is 0. 0 din to. 0 din yon. Ito. Okay? So, as long as you have an elemental state, the oxidation number is 0. Okay? So, keep that in mind. Okay? So, that's the first rule. Again, pag sinabing elemental state, we are pertaining to a compound with just the same element lang. Okay? Same lang yung element niya. Wala siyang kasamang iba. Okay? Such as, pag metal yan, monoatomic. Pag gases yan, usually diatomic. Okay? H2, N2, Cl2, F2, Yan. So, Br2, I2, yan. N2, O2, ayan. So, those are example of uh, elemental state. Okay? So, again, the rule number one is very easy. If you have an elemental form of your compound, then the oxidation number is 0. Okay? Let's proceed with the next rule. Okay, so the next rule pertains to monoatomic ions. Okay, so when you say monoatomic ions, these are single atoms with charges. Okay, so ano daw ang oxidation number nila? Eh di obviously, kung ano yung charge nila. Okay, so sabi dito, the oxidation number of an element in a monatomic ion is equal to the charge of that ion. So, ibig sabihin, for oxide ion, the oxidation number of oxygen is negative 2. Why? Because the charge of the oxide ion is negative 2. Therefore, the oxidation number is negative 2. So, ganun din kay chlorine, Cl minus, chloride ion. So, the oxidation number of chlorine in the chloride ion is negative 1. And for sodium cation, the oxidation number is positive 1. Okay? So, ito kaya. Ano kaya oxidation number neto? Ayan. This is the oxidation number of iron is positive 3. So basically, if you have a monoatomic ion, ibig sabihin nun, isang atom lang yan na ion. Kung ano yung charge niya, yun yung oxidation number niya. Okay? So, yan. Rule number 3, ano naman to? Sabi dito sa rule number 3, certain elements will commonly bear the same oxidation number. Okay? So, for example, group 1, may elements. Okay? They usually have an oxidation number of positive 1. So, ano yun? Mga sodium, cation, lithium, beryllium, mali. Sodium, lithium, potassium, rubidium ba? Yeah. Rubidium, cesium, francium. Okay? So, those are the group 1 elements and they always have a positive 1 charge. Pag group 2 elements naman, sabi, they will have an oxidation number or charge of 2. Kasi alam natin, they form 2 charge. Okay? So, those are barium, magnesium, calcium. Okay? That. Okay? So, yan yung idea. So, depending on the group number, you can determine the charge. Diba ginawa natin yung last time? Group 1, positive 1. Group 2, positive 2. Group 3, positive 3. So on, so forth. Okay? Group 5, negative 3. Group 6, negative 2. Group 7, negative 1. Okay? So, yun yung idea. And then, next one. Okay? So, the next rule pertains to hydrogen. Okay? So, yung hydrogen natin, if it is attached to a metal, okay? If yung hydrogen natin is attached to a non-metal, okay? It is positive 1 in charge, okay? So, yan. So, for example, HCl. Cl is a non-metal, okay? So, ibig sabihin nun, hydrogen is positive 1 in charge, okay? Kasi this one is non-metal, okay? So, this one, in this molecule here, H2O, oxygen is non-metal. Therefore, the oxidation number of hydrogen is positive 1. Okay? So, yun lang. So, yun lang yung rule number 4. And then, for rule number 5, if you have a molecule or a polyatomic ion, the charge of the molecule itself is the sum of the oxidation numbers of its elements. Okay? So, yung rule number 5, ito yung may calculation tayo. Okay? Uli sabi, for rule number 5, the oxidation number of the elements, no? Pag pinagsama-sama mo yan, that should be equivalent to the charge of the molecule. Okay? So, we have one example here. Okay? So, question dito, the compound PH3 has no net charge. That means the charge is 0. Okay? So, since P is non-metal, the oxidation number of hydrogen is positive 1. Yun yung sinabi natin kanina, right? So, if your hydrogen is bonded to a non-metal, its oxidation number is automatically positive 1. So what's the question? Uh, alam mo that hydrogen is positive 1 in charge. What will be the charge of phosphorus? Paano kaya yung charge ng phosphorus? So, just as said in this question here, okay, the charge is the sum of the oxidation numbers of your elements, okay? So, that's the oxidation number of hydrogen times 3 kasi tatlo siya, plus the oxidation number of phosphorus times 1 kasi isa lang siya. So, pag pinag-add mo daw lahat na yan, dapat equal yan sa charge ng molecule, which is 0. Okay? Paano mo pala malalaman if 0 yung charge ng molecule? Kapag walang nakalagay na positive doon or negative. Okay? 0 yan pag ganun. Okay? So, yeah. Louis, correct? So, basically, all you have to do is to do some algebra. So, you know that hydrogen, okay, hydrogen is positive 1 and tatlo siya. So, 1 times 3. For phosphorus, you don't know this yet, so you let an unknown variable x for the oxidation number of phosphorus. So x times isang phosphorus, then this is 3, this is x, transpose na lang, and then you get x equals negative 3. Therefore, the oxidation number of phosphorus in pH 3 is negative 3. Okay? So, ganun. So let's have this another exercise. So what is the oxidation number of nitrogen in ammonium ion? Brainstorm tayo. Ano sabi? If ang hydrogen that is bonded to a non-metal, positive 1 yung kanyang oxidation number. So ano kaya oxidation number ni nitrogen? Okay? So for us to do that, we use this equation. Okay? So we use this equation always. The charge of the entire molecule is the sum of the oxidation number of each element times kung ilan sila. Okay? So for hydrogen, apat yung ating hydrogen. Tas ang charge niya is positive 1. That's rule number 4. Okay? And then for nitrogen, I don't know. Yun yung hinahanap ko. So X. So this is X. Times is ilan yung nitrogen mo? Isa. Okay, so X times 1. That is equal to the charge of the molecule. So sabi ko, your charge of the molecule can be indicated by the superscript. Okay, so since we have a positive superscript there, ibig sabihin positive 1. Again, sir, paano kapag wala nakalagay? Kunwari like this. 0 yon. 0 yung charge niya pag wala nakalagay. Okay? So you do some algebra lang. So 1 times 4, 4, x times 1, x, 1. So transpose to the other side. And you will see that x, the oxidation number of nitrogen, is negative 3 as well. Okay? So negative 3. Okay, so those are the rules. No? Meron pa palang isa. Sorry. May isa pa tayo. So oxygen, usually it has an oxidation number of negative 2 unless bonded with group 1 metal. Okay? So for example, oxygen is bonded with calcium, which is group 2 element. So ibig sabihin nun, its oxidation number is automatically negative 2. If oxygen is bonded with iron, which is a transition metal, the oxidation number of oxygen is negative 2. Pero when you pair it with group 1 metal, okay, so for group 1 metals, ayun, pwede siya magbago. Okay? So for example, this is bonded to hydrogen, which is non-metal. So ibig sabihin, negative 2 yun automatically. Okay? Pero, for example, if you pair it with group 1 metal, sodium and ito, as you can see, pwede magbago yung kanyang oxidation number. Okay? So you can solve that using what we have discussed in rule number 5. Okay? So, with that, let us apply lahat ng yan dito sa ating elements dito. Okay? So we have 5 items here. I will answer all of them so that makita nyo yung rules ng maigi. Okay? So before we continue answering, let's just have a short recap of all the rules. Anim pala yan. Okay. So number 1, elemental state, ang oxidation number ay 0. How will you know if that is an elemental state? It doesn't have any charge and iisa lang yung element na nandyan. Okay? So, automatically, the oxidation number is 0. Rule number 2, if you have a monoatomic ion, ibig sabihin ng monoatomic ion, isang atom pero may charge. Okay? The oxidation number of that species no, is automatically whatever the charge is. Okay? Rule number 3, specific elements have certain oxidation numbers depending on their group number. Okay? So, ibig sabihin yan, for transition metal, wala silang specific charge. Okay? Because they can change. Okay? So, yun yung sinasabi natin, no? Even sa Lewis structure, no, when you have elements na, nasa baba na ng periodic table, hindi na sila nasunod ng rules. Okay? So chemistry is weird, no? You have to know the rules and you have to know what are the exceptions to the rules. Okay? So yeah, that's the complexity of chem. Pero madali lang pag nakabisado mo. Okay? Rule number 4, sabi dito, hydrogen is usually positive 1 when bonded with nonmetals. Okay? And then, yan. So, rule number 5, if you have a molecule, basically, the overall charge is the sum of the oxidation number of individual elements. Okay? So, you can apply the previous rules to determine the oxidation number of previous elements. Pero kung di mo alam, edi you have to let an unknown variable x. Okay? And then, rule number 6, sabi lang yan, oxygen is usually negative 2 unless you pair it with group 1 or group 2 metals. They could be negative 2, pero not always. Okay? So, you have to double check. Okay. So, with that rules, kailangan kabisado nyo yan kasi again, it will not be just useful this subject. It will also be useful to you when you take your analytical chemistry na, which is next semester. Okay? Dun mas lalo magiging complex lahat ng bagay. So, that means, by this semester, this topic should be relatively easier for you. Okay? Kasi everything will be much tricky pag nag-anachem tayo. Sige. So, with this 5 items here, I will answer na. Okay? So, start tayo with NH3. So, NH3 is a molecule. Okay? So, ibig sabihin yan, since this is a molecule, we can apply the 5th rule. Okay? So, we can apply the 5th rule. Okay? So, nasabi dun sa 5th rule, the charge of the molecule is the sum of the oxidation number of individual elements. Okay? So, what's the charge of, okay, sorry, I have to translate the equation muna, okay? Ano ulit sabi ng rule number 5? The charge of the molecule, teka lang, lobat. Okay. Charge na ba? Ayan, so charging na. So sabi, the charge of the molecule is the sum of the oxidation number of each element. Okay, so for nitrogen, oxidation number of nitrogen times 1, kasi isa lang siya, plus the oxidation number of hydrogen times 3, kasi tatlo yung hydrogens natin. Okay? So now, isip tayo. Of those two elements, sino yung may sinabi sa rules kanina? Obviously, si hydrogen. So, si hydrogen may sinabi about sa kanya. Ano sabi sa kanya? Hydrogen, positive 1 yan if it is bonded to nonmetals. Nitrogen is nonmetal. So, ibig sabihin, hydrogen is positive 1. Okay? So, positive 1 na agad to. According to rule number, I don't know the rule number, pero I think that's rule number 4. Okay? So, when you have hydrogen bonded with nonmetals, automatically positive 1 siya. How about nitrogen? May sinabi ba sa rules kanina? Wala. Walang sinabi. Okay? So, you let it as the unknown variable x. How about the charge of the molecule? Sabi ko, pag wala siyang exponent doon, Wala siyang superscript, 0 'yon. Kasi kapag may positive diyan, edi positive 1. Pag may negative diyan, edi negative 1. Pero kapag wala nakalagay, 0 'yon. Okay? So that means we can apply all those idea sa equation natin. So this is 0 equals x times 1 is x, 1 times 3 is positive 3. Do some algebra na lang. So nitrogen will have an oxidation number of negative 3, while hydrogen will have an oxidation number of positive 1. Okay? So negative 3, positive 1. Yun yung sagot natin. Okay? So yun yung sagot. Okay, so pwede kayo mag-screenshot after. Anyway, upload ko naman yung video mamaya. Tutulog muna ako after ng class. Okay, so that's the answer. Ganun lang. So you just use the equation given in rule number 5. Okay? How about this one? Calcium oxide. Sorry, naantok talaga. Okay, so for rule number 2, ito, no-brainer na to. Depending on the group number na lang yung basis natin. So for calcium, group number 2 yan. So positive 2. Oxygen, that's usually negative 2. So yan. So that's everything. By the way, for you to check if correct yung answer mo, the overall charge of the molecule should represent the individual oxidation numbers. For example dito, so ano yung oxidation number ni nitrogen? Negative 3. Kay hydrogen, 1 times 3. Pag in-add mo yan, equal talaga yung dapat sa charge, which is 0. Okay? So, pan-double check yan, which is basically yung equation din kanina. Okay? So, for example, in calcium oxide, this is 0 in charge. Ibig sabihin, kung positive 2 si calcium, negative 2 si oxygen. Okay? So, no-brainer na siya. How about this one, number 3? Okay, so, number 3, siguro makikita nyo, ang daming nangyari. Okay, so, madali lang yan. So, again, just implore the equation na ginagamit natin kanina. Okay? So, the charge of the molecule is equal to the individual oxidation numbers. Okay? So, charge equals the oxidation number of chromium times 2 plus yung kay oxygen naman. The oxidation number of oxygen times 7. Okay. Of the two elements, sino may sinabi? Kay oxygen. Sabi kay oxygen, negative 2 yan. Okay. So, this is negative 2. May sinabi ba sa rules kanina about chromium? Wala. Okay, walang sinabi. So, wala kang magagawa. X yan. Okay? Okay, how about the charge of the molecule? Basically, just look at the exponent, that is negative 2. Okay? So, with all this in mind, ipasok mo na lahat sa equation. So, that will be negative 2 equals x times 2, 2x, negative 2 times 7, negative 14. Okay? So, transpose, lipat mo to doon. That becomes positive. So, 14 minus 2, 12, equals 2x. Divide mo both sides by 2. So, you will get x equals positive 6. Okay? So, that means chromium is positive 6. Oxygen is negative 2. Okay? Ganun lang. Easy lang, di ba? Algebra lang. Pag nag-analytical chem tayo, mas malala. Mas malala. Gagamit tayong logarithm, exponential, and yeah. So, by now, this thing should be very easy for you. Kasi by the time you reach analytical chemistry, mas hirap lahat dan. Yeah. Many students are actually afraid of anachem. Kasi that's calculation intensive subject. Pero anyway, yung dinidiscuss namin sa part ng to ng SEM, lahat naman yun makikita nyo uli sa Anachem. Okay? Next one, we have permanganate ion. So that's permanganate ion. Let me erase everything once again. Basically, basta alam mo yung rules kanina, madali na lang. Okay, so, sige, yes, Kyla. Ang question daw. Na-confuse po ako for number 3. Sige, sa ano meron ka number 3? So, let's clarify the question muna before we proceed. Pag nag-checking part po, sige, checking part tayo. Hindi siya equal sa negative 2. Ganito yung checking part. Baka nakalimutan mo yung subscripts. Kita mo na. Kalimutan mo siguro yung subscript. Okay? For example, positive 6 si chromium, tas 2 yan. Diba? Negative 2 si oxygen, tas 7 yan. So, look at this. This is 12. This is negative 14. So, add mo, negative 2 nga. Yun o, negative 2. Yun. Nakita mo na. Baka nakalimutan mo na yung subscript. So, yeah. So, pag pinag-add mo yung oxidation numbers nila, ayun, negative 2 siya. Which is the charge of the molecule. Ayun. Yun. So, ganun lang. So, anyway, kung ano naman yung na-solve nyo na kanina, okay na yun, kahit di nyo na siya i-check. Because, pag chinek nyo yun, ganun din eh. You will just use the same equation. Okay? So, sige. So, again, when checking, this is if you want it. No? So, you just multiply the solved oxidation number by the number of elements. So, this times this times that. So, this is 12. This is negative 14. 12 minus 14, negative 2. Ayun, negative 2. Yun. Okay? So, sige. Next one, we have permanganate ion, MnO4 negative. Okay, so applying rule number 5, charge of the molecule equals oxidation number of manganese. Ilan siya? Isa. Plus the oxidation number of oxygen. Ilan yung oxygen? 4. Okay. So, ano charge? Ayun, negative. So, negative 1 yan. Of the two elements, manganese and oxygen, sino may sinabi? Oxygen. Ano sabi sa oxygen? Rule number 6, oxygen, always negative 2. Na? Yan. So, ibig sabihin, this should be negative 2. Ibig sabihin, walang sinabi about manganese. So, we will assume an unknown variable x, okay, as the oxidation number of manganese. With that in mind, plug in negative 1 equals x times 1, x. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Nag-isip pa talaga 2 times 4, 8. Kasi negative, so negative 8. So, what's next? Transpose. Transpose, so negative 1. This becomes positive when you transpose it, diba? And 8 minus 1 is 7. So, ibig sabihin, the oxidation number of manganese is positive 7. And for oxygen, it's negative 2. Okay? So, ganun. So, let's check. No? Double check na lang. 7 times 1, 7. 2 times 4, 8. Kaso negative, so negative 8. Negative 8 plus 7, negative 1. Ayun. Okay? So, tama yung ginawa mo. Basically, ito lang din yan. Okay? So, kaya nga sabi ko, when you solve this correctly, yun, you're confident na rin. Pero ano, I highly suggest you to still double check. Okay? Kasi baka mamaya may nakalimutan kang multiplier, nakalimutan mo yung 4, nakalimutan mo yung 3, kalimutan mo yung 2, yung 7. So, you have to just check always. Okay? Pero anyway, no, when you master this topic naman, sa isip mo na lang, ikaw na yung mag-ano, ikaw na yung solve. Okay, so anyway, so siguro the question of Louis is about 5. Okay, so yeah, it's always -1. Okay, pag group 7, madalas -1. Di ba madali lang? Pero tandaan nyo, wala pa tayo sa main topic. Wala pa tayo sa main topic. This is just precursor sa main topic. Yes. Ganun naman yung chem na yung ano siya, always kailangan may intro na may prologue before the dinner. Before yung main food. Okay? So yan. So yeah. Kung hindi tayo magaganito, kung hindi tayo magre-review of Gen Chem sa subject natin na Org Chem, nako, mahihirapan kayo sa future subjects. Okay na yung mahirapan ngayon kaysa sa mahirapan sa Anachem mismo. Because I will remind you, Anachem is a very hard subject. Okay? So, yan. Ito, babalikan nyo ulit sa Anachem. Okay? Anyway, PTL6, no? So, platinum hexachloride. Ayan. So, anyway, ano yung kanyang charge? Okay, so that's equal to the oxidation number of platinum times isa siya plus oxidation number of chlorine times 6. Okay, so the charge of the molecule is negative, and so -1 yan. Of the two elements, sino may sinabi? Yung chloride. Okay, because chloride is a group 7 element. Okay, so fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, ayan. So group 7 yan. Okay, so Cl is -1. Sabi sa rule number, anong rule number ba? 4? I'm not sure, pero yun. Basta yun, sinabi yun doon. So that means platinum is unknown. Okay, so with all this, let's plug it sa equation. So this is -1. X times 1 is X. 1 times 6 is 6, pero negative, so -6. Lipat again to the other side, that becomes positive. So 6 minus 1, edi 5. Positive 5 equals X. That means platinum is positive 5 and chloride ion is -1. Okay. So that's how you determine the oxidation number of the elements. Okay. So yan. So that ends the intro part. Intro part pa lang tayo. Wala pa tayo sa main topic. Okay. So ganun lang, no? So you just have to apply all the rules we stated kanina, okay? Para, ayan, makuha natin yung tamang sagot. Okay? So I hope you got this part, no? Kasi in redox reaction, this is actually the easiest part. Yan. By the way, you can start answering the practice quiz once na matapos tayo dito. Okay? You can do it, I think, 2 times. 3 times. Yeah. And lalabas yung sagot doon. Okay? So now, let's go back to oxidation reduction reaction. Sabi natin, when our substance undergoes oxidation, it loses electron. Therefore, what will happen to the oxidation number? Sabi ko kanina, the oxidation number increases, no, when it loses electron. Bakit? Di ba electron is negative? So, ibig sabihin, if it is lost, mas magiging positive siya. Okay? Tanggalin ang negativity, magiging positive. Okay? So, ganun yung atoms din natin. So, when an atom undergoes oxidation reaction, it loses electron. Therefore, its oxidation number must increase. Okay? And then for reduction reaction, it gains electron, and we know that electrons are negative. So, if you gain electron, mas magiging negative ka. Bababa yung oxidation number mo. Okay? So, yan. So, keep in mind yung ganyang bagay. Okay? So, again, when we undergo oxidation reaction, we will see increase in oxidation number. And if we undergo reduction reaction, you will see a decrease in the oxidation number. Okay? So, yan. Now, bukod sa oxidation reaction at reduction reaction, may tawag din sa mismong substances that undergo those reactions. Okay? So, the substance that lost electrons is called the reducing agent, while the substance that gained electron is called oxidizing agent. Baka malito kayo kasi alam natin, okay, kapag losing electron oxidation, pag gaining electron reduction. Pero bakit yung tawag sa kanila baliktad? Reducing agent, oxidizing agent. Bakit kaya? Okay. Kasi the idea lang here is that if this loses electron, it helps the reduction reaction. If this gains electron, it helps the oxidation reaction. Kung sino yung tinutulungan niya, yun yung tawag sa kanya as an agent. Okay? Ako nare, ako, tindahan ko kayo ng bahay. So, tindahan ko kayo ng lupa. Ano tawag sa akin? Sales agent, no? O kaya realtor. So, agent, no? Sales agent. No? Ako yung tumutulong sa iyo para makabili ka. Okay? So, ikaw yung bibili, pero ako yung tutulong sa iyo makabili ka. Parang ganun yung idea dito. Ako yung mag-undergo ng oxidation, pero tutulungan kita sa reduction. Ako yung mag-undergo ng reduction, pero tutulungan kita sa oxidation. That's why baliktad yung tawag sa kanila. Okay? Ako, bigyan kita ng insurance. Ikaw, may insure ka. Ano tawag sa akin? Insurance agent. Okay? A financial advisor na mahilig mag-message sa Facebook. Anyway, dalawa yun. Ganun yung mga friends ko. Message na message sa akin. Sabi ko, meron na akong insurance. Dami ko nang binabayaran. Ayan. Ayan. So anyway. So ganun yung idea. Ba't sila baliktad ha? So they help the other reaction kasi. That's why they are called agents. Okay? So, ako, bigyan kita tulungan kita makabili insurance. So, tawag sa akin, insurance agent. Hindi ako yung insurance, pero ako yung tumutulong for you to get insurance. Ibig sabihin, agent ako ng insurance. Okay? So, ganun dito. Hindi siya yung nag-undergo ng, reduction, pero tawag sa kanya, reducing agent kasi it helps the other reaction. Ganun din dito. Hindi siya nag-undergo ng oxidation, pero tawag sa kanya oxidizing agent because it helps the oxidation reaction. Okay? And remember that redox reaction are partners, so they help each other. Ibig sabihin, agent sila ng isa't isa. Okay? So for you to completely summarize all the things that we have discussed, we will need to use this mnemonic, Leora Geroa. Okay? Leora, ibig sabihin, losing electron oxidation reaction, reducing agent. Gaining electron reduction reaction, oxidizing agent. Okay? Para mas madali makabisado lahat. Leora Geroa. Okay? Ibig sabihin yan, the one that underwent oxidation reaction is called the reducing agent. And the one that underwent reduction reaction is called the oxidizing agent. Leora Geroa. Okay? So, yun. Parang oil rig lang, but extended. Okay? Meron na tayong Ra, pati si Owa. Okay? So, with that, let's look at this equation here. So, this is an unbalanced equation. Okay? So, which of them underwent oxidation reaction? Which of them underwent reduction reaction? So, tingin tayo, madali lang to. Okay? So, as you can see, zinc, what's the oxidation number of zinc? So, kapag nasa solid form yan, okay, so this is a tip for everyone. Pag yan ay solid form, 0 agad yan, okay? So, the oxidation number of zinc here, since this is solid, that's 0. Rule number 1, elementary substance. Okay? Single atom, walang ibang kasamang atom, walang charge. Elementary substance. Okay? So, 0 yung kanyang oxidation number dito. Look at the right side of the equation. Ano nangyari? So, naging positive 2 yung oxidation number niya. Okay? So, again, this is rule number 2. Monoatomic ion, yung kanyang oxidation number ay yung charge na mismo. So, positive 2. So what happened to zinc? From 0, naging positive 2 siya. Nag-increase ang oxidation number. So, ano sabi ko kanina? When there is an increase in oxidation number, ibig sabihin, it lost electron. Ibig sabihin, it underwent oxidation reaction. So, zinc underwent the oxidation reaction. Okay? So, nag-underwent siya ng oxidation reaction that causes the atom to be more positive. Okay? So, yan. From 0, naging positive 2 na siya. So, oxidation reaction. How about hydrogen? So, as you can see, hydrogen, positive 1. Okay, positive 1 yan. So, ibig sabihin, its oxidation number here is positive 1. Rule number 2, monoatomic ion. The oxidation number of monoatomic ion is the charge itself. Okay? And then, pagdating sa other side, no? H2. Ano nangyari? So, in H2, rule number 1 to. Okay? This is an elemental state. Okay? Again, pag sinabing elemental state, elementary state, ang tawag dyan ay, sila yung mga monoatomic, diatomic, tetraatomic, no? Pero walang charge, okay? Tapos isa lang yung element. So, ito, wala tong charge. So, this is elementary state. Okay? So, what's the charge of the element according to rule number 1? 0. Okay? So, tignan natin. So, from positive 1, naging 0 siya. Ibig sabihin nun, bumaba yung oxidation number niya. And just as I said earlier, when your oxidation number decreases, ibig sabihin nun, it gained electron. Meaning it underwent reduction reaction. Okay? Reduction reaction. Okay? So, yun yung idea. Okay? So, zinc increased from 0 to positive 2. Hence, it is oxidized, okay? Or it underwent oxidation reaction. And hydrogen decreased from positive 1 to 0. Hence, it is reduced or it underwent reduction reaction. Okay, so the question here is ito. Sino ang oxidizing agent? Sino ang reducing agent? Ito yung nasa quiz eh. Okay? So, sino yung oxidizing agent? Sino yung reducing agent? Ganito lang. Okay? So, kunwari, sa quiz yan, A, B, C, D. Okay? Nakaganito. Binibigay ko na yung tip mismo. Okay. So, ganito yung gagawin nyo kapag nagko-quiz. Okay? And so, suppose you're asked, which is the oxidizing agent, which is the reducing agent, A, B, C, D. Okay. So, yung products, tanggalin mo agad sa options. Bakit? We don't have any term for products. Okay. The term oxidizing and reducing agents, no, they are only applicable to reactants. Pero yung products, wala tayong tawag sa kanila. So, you can remove them from the options. Okay. So, yung apat na choices, maging dalawa na lang. Para kang nag-apply ng 50-50 sa sa Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Yan. So, 50-50, ibig sabihin tanggalin mo yung products. Yan. Dalawa na lang. So, dito sa dalawang to, sino nga ba yung oxidizing agent? Dito mo nagagamitin yung Leora Geroa. Okay? Na Leora Geroa. Okay? So, kung sino yung na-oxidize, siya yung reducing agent. Sino ba yung na-oxidize sa dalawa? Is it zinc or H? Yung zinc. Sabi natin the zinc underwent oxidation reaction. So, ibig sabihin nun, if it underwent oxidation reaction, it is the reducing agent. So, it is the zinc. Oxidizing agent, Leora Geroa. Okay? OA, oxidizing agent. Sino daw yan? Yung nag-underwent ng reduction reaction. Obviously, that's H+. Okay? So, ganun. So, again, kapag nag-quiz kayo, ganito gagawin nyo. Okay? So, out of all the choices, multiple choice naman yan. So, out of all the choices, what you're going to do is to, check, kung sino sa kanila yung reactants. Kasi in products, you don't have any term for them, so you have to remove them from your options. So, that will leave you two choices na lang. Okay? So, dun sa choices mo, just be careful. Okay? Baka mapagbaliktad nyo yung oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Okay? So, remember, the one that is oxidized is called the reducing agent. The one that is reduced is called the oxidizing agent. Leora Geroa. Okay? So that should give you the correct answer. Okay? So, yan. Nagbabuffer na. Okay lang, guys. Leora Jero, I have some exercises pa. Don't worry. So, that's why dito sa Canvas, sabi ko rin sa inyo, okay na yung ngayon ay, ngayon, exposed na kayo dito kasi pag nag-analytical chem kayo, mas malala dun. Kaya, ayan, we really have to cover this. Okay? So, kung sino ang nag-undergo ng oxidation, siya yung reducing agent. Sino nag-undergo ng reduction, siya yung oxidizing agent. Okay? Baliktad siya. So, sa practice quiz nyo, merong ganyan. Okay? So, asan yan? Ito. So, for example, ito. Reduction, reaction, accepting electron. Yes. And siya din yung oxidizing agent. Yes. Okay. Ito yun. Dito yun sa slide na to. Okay. Kung sino yung tumanggap ng electron, oxidizing agent siya. Sino yung nag-lose ng electron, siya yung reducing agent. Okay? Kaya sabi ko, Leora Geroa. Sino nag-undergo ng oxidation, siya yung reducing agent. Sino yung nag-undergo ng reduction, siya yung oxidizing agent. Leora Geroa. Okay? So, ito lang, kabisaduhin nyo na lang to. And then, mas madali na lang mag-categorize. Okay? So, for example, ganito yung itsura ng quiz niya. May isang ganito sa quiz. Okay. So, in the reaction of copper, sulfuric acid, copper sulfate, oxygen, water, identify the oxidized species and the reduced species, the oxidizing agent and the reducing agent. Okay? So, paano to? Pag nakita niyo yung agent-agent, okay, yung term na agent-agent, that refers to the reactant lang. Paano yan? You have 5 choices. Di ba ganun sa quiz? A, B, C, D, E. Okay? So, dun sa 5 choices, eliminate mo na yung products, which is copper sulfate, water, and oxygen. Sulfur dioxide. So, matitirang choices mo, copper and sulfuric acid na lang. Okay? So, copper and sulfuric acid na lang. Okay? So, use the rules that we discussed today for you to know the oxidation number of each element. And then, from that, you can determine sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction, sino yung nag-undergo ng reduction reaction, sino yung oxidizing agent, and sino yung reducing agent. Okay? So, ganun. So, again, pag ganitong type ng question, etong dalawa lang yung choices. Tanggalin mo na yan. Okay? So, etong dalawa lang yung pagpipilian mo. Okay? So, yan. Okay? So, kunwari, ganyan. Okay? Hindi pwede yung product na. So, ganun lang. Yun yung tip ko sa inyo. That's why you have this test na practice para mas masanay. Okay? Anyway, let's proceed. Balancing redox. Mamaya na siguro itong balancing. I will open another PowerPoint now. And then from this PowerPoint, let's identify the oxidizing agent, the reducing agent, and sino yung oxidized and reduced species. Okay. So let's apply the Leora-Geroa in this question. Ito din yung PowerPoint na gagamitin namin sa Anakem. So, alam nyo na, may advantage kayo. So, Leora-Geroa. Okay. Gusto ko masanay kayo ito lang titignan nyo. Alam nyo na yung meaning nito. Loose electron, oxidation, reducing agent. Gain electron, reduction, oxidizing agent. Okay? So let's apply the concept of oxidation numbers so we can answer this question. First thing na gagawin nyo, check the oxidation number of each element. So let's try it here. This is monatomic ion. So positive 1 yung kanyang oxidation number kasi positive yung charge niya. This one is elemental state. Again, kapag solid, elemental state yan. So 0 yan. Same as this one. And this one is positive 3. Okay. So ganun lang yung oxidation numbers. Okay. So you just have to remember all the rules kanina. Okay. And then use it sa pagsagot ng quiz. Okay. So now, tignan natin. Yung silver, from positive 1, lumagpas ako. So from positive 1, naging 0 na lang siya. What do you think happened kay silver? Na-oxidize ba yan or na-reduce? From positive 1, naging 0. Ano kaya nangyari? Nadagdagan siya ng electron or nabawasan siya ng electron? What do you think happened? Okay. Reduce. Okay. So, pag nabawasan ng charge, ibig sabihin nun, nadagdagan ng electron. Always keep in mind na kapag bumaba yung oxidation number, reduction yan dapat. Okay. Tumaas yung oxidation number, oxidation. Okay. And so, yung baliktad tayo. Pero okay lang yan. Okay. So, always keep in mind na ganun nga. Okay. So, tama yung sagot kanina. Yes, na-reduce siya. Ang meaning kasi ng na-reduce, yung number, yung charge yung na-reduce, bumaba. Diba? Kita nyo na. Reduce yung number. So, from positive, bababa siya to negative. Okay? Or 0. Yun yung dahilan bakit reduction tawag sa kanya. Because bumababa yung oxidation number. Okay? So, yun lang. So, when the oxidation number decreases, the reaction is called reduction reaction. Okay? So, Ag plus, Ag0, it underwent reduction reaction. Okay, so how about aluminum? What happened to aluminum? Ano sa tingin nyo nangyari kay aluminum? Obviously, kung yung isa na reduce, ito yung isa oxidized. Okay, obvious naman from 0, naging positive 3. When there is an increase in oxidation number, oxidation reaction tawag doon. Okay? Ayan. Ito yung question mismo. Sino yung reducing agent? Sino yung oxidizing agent? Sige. Yung mga confused, okay lang. Maganda na ma-clarify natin yun ngayon. We still have plenty of time naman. Alam ko nakakalito siya, no? Baliktaran kasi yung concept. Pero again, ito yung kailangan nyo kabisaduhin. Itong tatlo lang. Leora-Geroa, pag bumaba oxidation number, reduction reaction. Pag tumaas yung oxidation number, oxidation reaction. Ito lang kakabisaduhin niyo yung nilagyan ko ng stars. Okay. Losing electron, oxidation. Gaining electron, reduction. Okay, so ito may answer na sila. Okay, so ayun, sabi natin, Ag plus underwent reduction reaction para maging Ag0. Al0 nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction para maging Al3+. So ito yung pinaka main question. Sino yung reducing agent? Sino yung oxidizing agent? Gamitin si Leora Geroa. Okay. So ano sabi ni Leora Geroa? Kapag yan ay nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction, siya yung reducing agent. Sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction? No, ABCD ulit tayo, kunwari quiz. Kaya kunwari quiz to. Sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction? Again, wala tayong tawag sa product, so you can cancel them out. So, of the two, sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction? Si Al. So, since si aluminum nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction, ang tawag sa kanya ay Ra, reducing agent. Okay? So, this is the reducing agent. Okay? Again, baliktad yan ha. So, kung nako-confuse ngayon, that's fine. More kabisado lang gagawin natin. Yan, baliktad talagang tawag sa kanila. Kasi sabi ko nga kanina, pag sinabing agent, tinutulungan mo yung kabilang party. Sales agent ako, tutulungan kita makabili. Insurance agent ako, tulungan kita magkakuha ng insurance. Reducing agent ako, tutulungan kita ma-reduce. Ganun. So, paano kita tutulungan ma-reduce? E di ma-oxidize ako. Okay? So, ganun yung logic niya. Baliktad. Okay? So, yan. Pag may word na agent, baliktad agad yung tawag. Okay? So, tama ba kayo? Okay, so nagkabaliktad yung okay, so tama si Louis. Okay, so aluminum reducing agent. Kasi siya yung nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction. Okay? And then, obviously, si Ag+, siya yung nag-undergo ng reduction reaction. So, tawag sa kanya ay oxidizing agent. Yes, yung word na yung agent mismo nagpapalito, no? Siguro gets nyo naman kung sino yung oxidation reaction, sino yung reduction reaction. Pero when it comes to agent, doon na nagkakabaliktad. Always keep in mind, baliktad kapag may word na agent. It underwent reduction reaction, so tawag sa kanya, oxidizing agent. Okay. And then kapag may oxidation reaction, tawag sa kanya, reducing agent. Okay? Baliktad na. Ang logic nga dyan, sabi ko, pag may word na agent, tutulungan mo yung kabila. Okay? Okay. Yun. Yes. Ito yung problem sa chemistry, no? Kakabisaduhin mo yung rules, kakabisaduhin mo yung against sa rules. But sometimes, along the way, may baliktad na terms. So, yeah. When you really study chem, no? Minsan mapapatulala ka na lang. So, ano to? Yes. Yeah, yan. Logic, computation is much easier kasi nandyan na eh. Pipindutin mo na lang, di ba? But when it comes to logic, magkakabaliktaran talaga tayo ng utak din. But yeah, that's ano to yung laway. But yun yung concept, no? So, just remember all these three, no? Leora, Geroa, Pag bumaba oxidation number, reduction reaction. Pag tumaas yung oxidation number, oxidation reaction. Okay? So, just remember all these concepts. Again, pag may word na agent, baliktad yung dapat na tawag sa kanya. So, kapag nag-undergo siya ng reduction, tawag sa kanya, oxidizing agent. Pag nag-underwent siya ng oxidation, tawag sa kanya, reducing agent. Baliktad. Okay? Kaya nga sabi ko, kabisa din yung Leora Geroa. Kasi andito no, O, oxidation, reducing agent. R, reduction, oxidizing agent. Okay. So, andyan na. Parang hindi na kayo malito. Leora Geroa lang yan. Okay? So, last practice. Okay, last one. Bago tayo matapos. Bago matapos ang ating ang ating pagbabuffer. Okay. Let's try this one. Permanganate, chloride ion, Mn2+, hypochlorous acid. Hala sir, paano yan? Ang daming elements. Okay lang yan. Just apply the rules that we had no, sa oxidation numbers. Okay? So, yan. Huwag kayong matakot pag ganyan. Pag kunwari, uy, may MNO first, sir. Ala, paano yan? Ito, ganyan-ganyan lang. Nasa yan, ganyan. Huwag kayong matakot. Ano lang. Ano lang to. Just apply all the rules na sinabi ko kanina. Okay? So, first thing na gagawin nyo, you have to determine their oxidation numbers, obviously. So, ano yung oxidation numbers nila? So, di ba na-solve na natin itong permanganate kanina? Oxygen is negative 2. So, applying rule number 5. Okay? So, that will be negative 1 equals x plus negative 2 times 4. Na-solve na natin to kanina. So, dinederive ko lang. So, x is 7. At ito yun, sa kanina. Asan ba yung PowerPoint na yun? Ito ba yan? Ayan na. So, 7, negative 2. So, copyhin mo lang. Kasi solve na natin siya earlier. Oops, asan na yung PowerPoint? Ayan. So, yeah, ganun. So, Mn is 7. Oxygen, negative 2. Cl. Cl is monoatomic ion, rule number 2. So, negative 1. Mn2 plus, rule number 2. Positive 2. Bakit siya rule number 2? Monoatomic ion. Saan po nanggaling yung hydrogen? Ano pa yan? Sa balancing pa yan. Pero, hayaan nyo lang muna. Okay. Pagdating nyo ng Anachem, doon yung makikita yung mismong balancing. Yes. Kasi ito yung problem with redox. Ang dami na nga niyang rule. May sarili pa siyang balancing. Yeah, may sarili pa siyang balancing. Like this one. Sobrang daming steps. So, yeah. Set aside nyo na lang muna. Okay? Kulang elements dito, yes. Pero, iba kasi yung balancing niya. Okay? Kaya, next sem na lang. Next sem na yung mga ganong type ng Okay? Kasi, yung gusto lang natin ngayon is the oxidation numbers. Okay? So, yun. So, Mn, positive 7. Oxygen, negative 2 yan. Cl minus, negative 1. Mn, positive 2, monoatomic ion. How about HClO? Okay. Ito HClO, medyo tricky to. Let me erase this portion. Kunwari, you have an ionic compound. Yeah, it becomes indistinguishable from magic. Yes, actually. Alam niyo ba, pag ginawa tong redox reaction, nakikita mo magbabago kulay ng substances mo. Magic. Kaya nga 'di ba sa experiment number 4 nyo sa lab. Ay, ako kasi mga gumawa ng ganun. Okay. Experiment number 4 nyo sa lab. Ano yung isang question doon? Mix nyo yung bleach with betadine. Nagawa nyo na ba? Kung nagawa niyo na madali, ganito yung mangyayari. 'Di ba betadine is brown? When you mix bleach, magiging transparent 'yon. Like in an instant. Eh, yung brown, pagkapatak mo ng isang bleach, mawawala kulay niya. That's magic. And the magic behind there is redox reaction. So yeah, masyado talaga siyang amazing. Sa sobrang amazing niya, sobrang hirap din i-solve. Okay? So, ganun. So again, let's talk about HClO. Kasi, paano mo malalaman, sir, yung nito, oxidation numbers? What if more than 3 yung elements mo? Okay, kasi yung kanina mga binigay ko, dalawa lang eh, di ba? Dalawang elements lang meron. Ito, tatlo to, sir. Bakit mo kami pinapahirapan? Anyway, ganito lang. Okay. So, suppose ganito yung ating question. Okay. So, yeah. Ang H ay nagmula sa balancing. Ayan. It actually came from water. Okay. 'Di ba lahat yan nasa aqueous solution eh. Ibig sabihin may water. So, doon nanggagaling yung H. So, dito yon sa balancing redox. I have a video on this sa YouTube, no? Kaso, Anachem pa yun. Okay, so, watch it in the future na lang. Okay. So, anyway, so HClO, ang common na pwede mo gawin dito is split mo sila into cation and anion. So, what's the cation here? And the anion here? Kailangan alam nyo na to kasi this is an acid. Okay? So, the cation is H+. That means the anion is the ClO-. Ayun, dun makikita nyo, H+ is positive 1. Yung charge niya. How about ClO? Okay, so for the ClO, you can use rule number 5. Okay, you can use rule number 5. So, charge negative 1, okay, charge equals oxidation number of chlorine, oxidation number of oxygen. So, negative 1, chlorine, alam mo, negative 1 yan. And then oxygen, negative 2. Ay, teka, ito pala. Kunwari, ganito yung case, sorry. Kunwari, ganito yung case. Chlorine and oxygen yung magkatabi. Di ba may sinabi about sa rules sa kanila? Okay. May sinabi na oxygen is negative 2. Si chlorine, since it is group 7, negative 1 siya. Pero may in-skip akong part kanina sa sentence. Okay. Ano yung in-skip kong part? Basahin natin ulit. Okay. Basahin natin. Group 7 elements usually have negative 1, especially fluorine. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, of all the group 7 elements, si fluorine lang yung masunurin. Negative 1 talaga siya parate. Pero, there are cases, no, that other group 7 elements don't follow this. Kaya makikita nyo yung word na especially fluorine. Kasi si fluorine, masunurin yan talaga. Okay. Siya, sa lahat ng elements, siya yung masunurin sa lahat ng rules. Oxidation number, electron affinity, electronegativity, lahat sinusunod niya. Okay. Pero, yung ibang group 7, hindi na sila nasunod ng rules. That's why we emphasize especially fluorine. Kasi siya yung masunurin talaga. Okay. So, ayan. So, siya yung masunurin. So, that means yung chlorine, pwedeng hindi siya sumunod sa rule na to. Okay. So, emphasize ko lang yan. Kaya yun nilagay dyan sa PowerPoint. Okay. Especially fluorine because sometimes other group 7 elements do not follow this. In the case of ClO, ganun yung nangyayari. Okay. So, si chlorine dito, hindi yan susunod sa batas. Okay. Hindi yan susunod doon kasi hindi naman siya fluorine eh. So, ano siya, para siyang balimbing, no? Susunod siya pag gusto niya, pero there are times na hindi niya susundin yan. Okay. So, kailan, sir, yung time na hindi niya susundin yun? Kapag siya ay oxyanion. Okay, remember that if you have an oxyanion na gawa sa group 7 element, no? Chlorate, chlorite, hypochlorite, perchlorate, no? Iodate, iodite, no? hypoiodous, something like that. Basta, if you have an oxyanion of group 7 elements, that is the time where they don't follow the rules na. Okay? So for example, ClO is an oxyanion. Cl is in group 7. Ibig sabihin, Cl doesn't follow the rules kanina. Okay? So, yun. Paki-note na lang sa notebook niyo. Okay. Kapag nakakita ka ng oxyanion, yung element na nag-oxyanion, hindi yun nasunod ng rules ng ng oxidation number. Si oxygen, masunurin yan. Okay. Masunurin talaga yan si oxygen. Always negative 2 siya kahit anong mangyari. Okay. So, yun yung sasabihin ko. So, between the two, oxygen, mas masunurin siya kaysa kay chlorine. Okay. So, kasi kumakabit lang naman siya eh. Si chlorine yung nagbabago eh. Kaya yun. Yeah, oxygen follows the rule, so that means it is always negative 2 talaga. So that means yung chlorine, hindi natin sure. Kasi remember, of all the group 7 elements, only fluorine follows. Ibig sabihin, yung chlorine, bromine, iodine, hindi yan nasunod masyado. Okay? So it doesn't follow the rules always. So kailan mo lang yung gagawin? Kapag ang katabi ni group 7 element ay oxygen. Okay? Keep that in mind. Kapag yung katabi ni ni group 7 element ay oxygen, i-X mo agad si group 7. Okay? Kasi hindi niya susundin yung rules na ginagawa natin. Okay? So you transpose it to the other side. Ayan. So, negative 1 plus 2, positive 1. Okay? So, Cl is positive 1. So, according yun sa calculation natin. So, kita nyo, no? Cl hindi siya nagpa-follow talaga ng rules. Okay? So, ayan. So, Cl is positive 1. So, this is positive 1. Okay? So, yan. So, of all the elements, balitan ko yung ballpen ko. Kasi puro kulay pula. Ayan. Napalitan ko kulay ko. Of all the elements, look, no? Kung sino yung mga nagbago yung kanyang oxidation number. Sino? Si Mn. Kanina, si Mn, positive 7. After the reaction, positive 2 na lang siya. Who else? Sino pa? Palitan ko yung color. Purple. So, si Cl, tignan mo. Negative 1 yan. Pero after the reaction, naging positive 1 siya. Okay? So, ganun. Hindi lahat titignan mo. May isang element lang dyan na magbabago yung oxidation number. Okay? So, baka isipin mo, baka yung oxygen, no. Okay? So, it is usually the metal and the non-metal that changes oxidation number. So, yun na yung tip ko sa inyo. So, kita nyo, yung MnO4, yung Mn na 7, naging 2 na lang. And then for Cl, na negative 1, after the reaction, naging HClO siya. Naging positive 1 oxidation number niya. So, with all the things we discussed today, sa lahat ng mga sinabi natin ngayon, sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction? Sino yung nag-undergo ng reduction reaction? Okay? So, sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction? Mn. Again, susulat ko para hindi ma-confuse. Pag nag-increase ang oxidation number, oxidation. Pag nag-decrease ang oxidation number, reduction. Ayan. So, yes, you are correct na. So, Mn is reduction. Baliktad tayo dun. Okay, so, Mn is reduction reaction. Kasi, ano nangyari? Positive 7, naging positive 2. Bumaba yun. Okay? 7 to 2 eh. Mas marami before kaysa after. So yes, correct si Kyla. So this is reduction reaction. Yes, Mn is reduced, reduction reaction. Sino naman yung oxidizing? Sino yung, sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation reaction? So si Mn na reduce siya, sino yung na-oxidize? Di yung Cl. Okay? Okay, ganito isipin nyo. From big number to small number, reduction yan. Kasi bumababa yung oxidation number. Kunwari, 7 to 2. 7 to negative 1. Ayan. So, kunwari ganun. So, reduction reaction yan. Kapag oxidation number, small number to big number, negative 1 to positive 1, nag-increase yan. Okay? So, yan. Nasagot na natin yung question. Sino yung reduction reaction? Sino yung oxidation reaction? Ngayon, sino ngayon ang oxidizing agent at reducing agent? Ngayon, basahin ko yung comment niyo. Sir, same procedure din po kahit sa ibang type ng reaction? Yes. Sorry. This only applies for redox. No? For redox lang. Okay. So, sabi ni Louie, Mn oxidizing agent, reduce. Cl reducing agent, oxidized. Yeah, you are correct. Tama yan. Kasi si Mn, bumaba yung charge niya, so reduction reaction yan. Okay? Ito yan, reduction reaction. Ano tawag natin kapag na-reduce? Oxidizing agent. Dito na naman papasok yung kabaliktaran, ha? So, ang nag-undergo ng reduction reaction is Mn, pero ang oxidizing agent ay si Mn din. Okay? So, yan. So, ibig sabihin, okay, so sabi ni Louie, Cl is oxidized. Yes, that is correct. Okay? So, it underwent oxidation reaction. Ibig sabihin nun, siya yung reducing agent. Okay? So, siya yung reducing agent. Pagdating sa quiz, ganito yung lalabas. Okay? Kaya ako binibigay ito kasi lalabas na sa quiz. Okay? So, ganito yung lalabas sa quiz. Okay? Dito uli ako. ABCD ako. Anyway, multiple choice naman. Kaya, binibigyan ko na kayo ng tips. Okay, ganito yung lalabas sa quiz. Alam mo, MNCL yon, pero wala siya sa choices. Ito yung nakalagay sa choices. May kasama siyang ibang elements. Okay lang yan. Hanapin mo na lang kung nasan dyan si MN pati si CL na tinutukoy mo. Okay, so again, sa quiz, ganito. You have 4 or 5 options. Tanggalin nyo na yung products, which is Mn2 plus HCl. Tanggalin mo na yung products. So, you are left with 2. Okay. Yung Mn na tinutukoy mo, okay, yung Mn na tinutukoy mo dito, ito yun. Okay, kasi siya yung may Mn. Okay, so ito yung pipiliin mo pag sa quiz. Okay, kasi siya yung may Mn na tinutukoy natin. And kapag Cl, edi obviously ito yun. Okay, so ganun na. Yes, correct naman yung ganitong process. No? Pero pagdating sa multiple choice, baka magtaka kayo, no? Kasi, hala, sir, bakit may kasama siya? Okay lang yan. Kasi, ang gagawin mo lang is, identify mo lang, sino ba yung MN na tinutukoy dito? Is it the MN2 plus or MNO4? Obviously, it's not the MN2 plus kasi wala tayong tawag sa kanila eh. Okay, so, you just remove them. Walang tawag sa kanila. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, reactants lang yung oxidizing agent, reducing agent. So, since I am pertaining to Mn, ito lang naman yung may Mn, so ito yung sagot. Okay. Alright, you're pertaining to Cl. Ito lang naman yung may Cl sa reactant, so you choose this. Okay? So, yun yung tips ko pag nag-quiz kaya. Okay? Si oxygen, balimbing lang yan. Natabi-tabi lang yan kung kani-kanino. Ganun talaga siya. Yan ang role ng buhay niya. Isa siyang terminal atom. Di ba alam niya sa Lewis structure, terminal atoms. Ayun. Okay. So, yun yung dahilan. Bakit si oxygen biglang nalitaw? Kasi terminal atom siya ng Mn. Okay? So, again, ganun yung tip ko sa quiz. Okay? Yung products, i-cancel out mo siya. Oxygen and hydrogen never changing. Yung oxygen medyo hindi. Pero yeah, somehow, no, in a sense, it's true. Pero in some reactions, hindi. Ayan na naman yung chemistry. Pabibo yung chem eh. Alam mo na ganito siya, tapos pagdating mo sa higher chem, ay hindi pala. Ganun yung BS Chem namin. Alright, mag-aral kami Gen Chem. Ganito. Tapos pagdating namin ng higher chem, kunwari, in-org chem, hindi pala daw ganun. Nagkalito-lito tuloy kami. Isa pang example. Okay. Isang example. This one. Let's answer this one. Last example para matulog. Ay, may klase kayo mamaya. Di ba love nyo mamaya? Okay. So anyway. So yan. Okay, so sagutan natin to. So identify the reducing agent, the oxidizing agent. If meron. Pahinga pa talaga yan. Sige, apply all the rules that we know. Aluminum, elemental, 0. Hydrogen gas, elemental, 0. Okay. Ito kasi hindi to redox eh. Ginamit ko lang to pang lito sa students. Pero sa Anachem na yun, Anachem. Okay. Yan yung dahilan ba't sinabi ko if meron. This is not redox. Okay. Don't worry, walang ganito sa quiz, no? Kasi ito, binigay ko yan sa mga Anachem students ko. Hindi pa naman kayo Anachem, so ligtas pa kayo sa ngayon. Okay, so yan. Balik tayo. Aluminum 0 elemental, hydrogen gas 0 elemental. Okay. Ngayon, ito na naman yung problema natin. H2SO4, Al2SO4, 3. So, ano sabi ko dito? Kapag ganyan, you split this into cation and an ion para mas madali makita. Okay? So, ano yung cation dito? Ano yung anion? H plus SO4 negative 2. Okay? So, always split your ionic compounds into cation and an ion para mas mabilis nyo makita yung charges. So, yan. Kita natin, hydrogen is positive 1. Ngayon, ang problema na lang natin, sulfur and oxygen. So, of the two, sulfur and oxygen, sino yung masunurin sa batas? Oxygen, negative 2 yan. Okay? So, let's apply rule number 5. So, rule number 5, apply natin dito. So, that is charge equals, remove ko na yan ha. Hindi yan redox eh. So, charge equals oxidation number of sulfur, oxidation number of oxygen times 4. Okay? So, alam natin, oxygen, masunurin yan sa batas. So, it is negative 2. It's negative 2 yung charge. This is X plus, ito, negative 2 times 4. Negative 8, okay. And negative 2x minus 8. Transpose to the other side. That becomes x equals positive 6. Paano naging positive 6? Because when I transpose it here, positive 8 yan. Minus 2, positive 6. So sulfur here is positive 6. Ayan. So how about this thing here? Al2SO43. So just like what we did kay sulfuric acid, split this into ions. Kailan mo i-split siya into ions? Pag ionic compound yan, okay? So yun. Ganun yung tip ko ha. If you have an ionic compound, split them into ions. So I will do that here. Burahin ko lang to kasi tapos na ako sa kanya. Okay? O you do the reverse crisscross. Alam niyo na dapat yan. Chapter 3 yan. Okay. Crisscross. So your ions are Al3 plus and SO4 negative 2. Ayan pa rin pala. Rule number 5. Same pa rin. Okay. Ang mahalaga lang yung aluminum. Alam natin 3 plus siya. So sulfur is still positive 6. Oxygen still negative 2. Okay. Because we have still the same sulfate. Okay. So with that, papalitan ko lang yung color ko. Ayan. So, tignan mo, anong element yung nagbabago ng oxidation number? Anong element yun? Aluminum from 0 naging positive 3. Okay? Kita nyo yan? Yan o. From 0 naging positive 3. Sino pa yung nagbago ng ng oxidation number? From the given, sino pa yung nagbago ng oxidation number? Hydrogen. Okay? So, this is sulfur, tignan mo, 6 dito, 6 din oxidation number doon. Oxygen, negative 2 dito, negative 2 din doon. Pero when it comes to hydrogen, oopsie, positive 1 dito. Positive 1 dyan. Pagdating sa other side, 0 na siya. Okay. Ngayon. Ngayon, ito na. This is the crucial part of this lesson. Sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation? Ano yun? Oxidation. Ito na yung last part. Okay? So, sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation? Pwede na pala mag-edit ng comment dito. Anyway, new lang yan sa akin. So, oxidation reaction, reduction reaction, oxidizing agent, reducing agent. Okay, so ito na. Moment of truth. Sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation? Si aluminum. Yes, you are correct. Kasi tumaas yung kanyang oxidation number. From 0, naging 3 na siya. So, aluminum underwent oxidation reaction. Ibig sabihin, hydrogen underwent reduction reaction. Now, when it comes to oxidizing and reducing agent, ibaliktad mo lang yung term. Okay? So, hydrogen underwent reduction reaction, ibig sabihin siya yung oxidizing agent. Yes, you are correct. Ay, yan, oxidizing agent. And aluminum, since it underwent oxidation reaction, tawag din sa kanya ay reducing agent. Yun, tama kayo. Wow. Yan, so tumama na. Yan, so good. So, aluminum oxidation reducing agent, yes, tama. H reduction oxidizing agent, H, yes, tama. Then, kay Louis, yes, tama din. Okay, so yan, tama na kayo. Yan, so, yan, very good. Okay, so ganun lang. No? So, always keep in mind the concept of Leora Geroa. Kaya yan, Kinaya nyo na yung last item, Kung sino yung nag-undergo ng oxidation, siya yung reducing. Ayan na. Sino nag-undergo ng oxidation, siya yung reducing. Kung sino yung nag-undergo ng reduction, siya yung oxidizing. Okay? Agent. Okay? So, yan. Again, kapag may agent, baliktad ang tawag. So, gamitin ang Leora-Geroa. Oxidation, reducing agent. Reduction, oxidizing agent. Reduction, oxidizing agent. Oxidation, reducing agent. Digay ako ng digay. Kagabi pa to. Guro na acid ako. Anyway, so ganun lang. Ay, thank you Lord. Paano kunwari sa quiz, ganito yung nakalagay. A, B, C, D. Kunwari sa quiz, ito yung nakalagay. Sir, ano po yung naka-parenthesis na maliit? Itong AQ? Ano yan? Yung phase of matter yan. S kapag solid, AQ meaning aqueous. Okay. S solid, L liquid. Okay. State of matter lang yan. G gas. Tapos AQ meaning aqueous. Nagkamali ako ng parenthesis dito. Ayan. Ganun lang. Ako na rin, ito yung question. AL, H. Ito yung choices. Kunwari sa quiz ganito. Ala, sir, paano yan? Wala to sa choices. Walang AL, walang H lang. Ala, ano sasagot ko dyan, sir? Anong naka-parenthesis? So anyway, sasagot ko muna yung question ko sa sarili ko. Ako na rin, nakita nyo, reduction reaction hydrogen. Tapos nakita mo dito sa choices, dalawa yung may hydrogen. H2SO4 pati H2. Ano sabi ko? Usually, ang sagot dyan yung nasa reactant. Okay? So, i-cancel out mo yung mga nasa product. Ito nasa product. So, hindi mo yan isasagot. Ito nasa product. Hindi mo yan isasagot. O, sa dalawang to, sino yung may hydrogen? Edi ito. So, piliin mo letter B. Okay? So, ito letter B. Ito letter B. Ito letter A. Ito letter A. So, ganun yung tip ko ha, pag nag-quiz kayo. Okay? So, kapag nag-quiz, sa choices na 4 or 5, tanggalin nyo na yung products. 50-50 agad yung magiging probability ng correct answer mo. So, from 25%, magiging 50-50. That's good. Okay. Gawin mo na lang. Alamin mo na lang yung elements, then ayun. Okay. Nakatakot naman po yung quiz. Don't worry. Exciting yung quiz. Tricky. Lalo na yung last part. Last part talaga yung kailangan ko i-emphasize. Yung last part, logic siya. Papansin nyo naman yung difficult question sa quiz natin parate. Pag sinabi kong difficult, difficult talaga. Okay, yeah. Kasi college na naman tayo. So, kailangan pag difficult, difficult talaga. And anyway, so logic lang lahat. Nasagot na natin to kanina. Sige, sabihin ko lang ulit kayo. Kapag kunwari ganito, aluminum sulfate. Okay. Ano yung sabi ko sa inyo kanina? Split mo yan into cation and anion. Kasi dun mo mas madali, masisimplify yan. So, ano yung cation sa aluminum sulfate? Al3+. Ano yung anion? SO4, -2. You just do crisscross. So, yun, makikita mo, aluminum is indeed +3. Then, for the SO4, you can apply rule number 5. Okay. So, ganun. If you have ionic compound, get the cation and the anion. Okay. Do the reverse crisscross para mas mabilis nyo makita yung charge. Okay, mas madali nyo makikita yung oxidation numbers. Okay? So, ganun lang. Siguro magbibigay pa ako ng practice quiz. Separate, no? For oxidation numbers naman. Ay, hindi. Meron na pala nun dito sa Canvas. Sorry. Meron na pala. Ayan, ito. So, ayan. Ito meron na sa Canvas. So, parang ganito yung ginagawa natin. Lagay pa ako. Sige, dagdagan ko. Pero mamaya na. Sige, dadagdagan ko ta. Don't worry. Gagawa pa ako ng isa pa. Okay. So, ganun lang. Type nyo lang oxidation number. And do not forget, kunwari, ito, positive 5. Lagay mo positive 6. Okay. Sige, we have a question from Kyla. Ano yun? Okay na. Sige. By the way, let's go back to our PowerPoint kasi hindi pa tayo tapos. Hindi pa tayo tapos, guys. Ayan. Okay. After stoic gas loss na yan. In chapter 5 na yung gas loss. Okay. So, di pa tayo tapos, no? Kasi ang ginawa lang natin, we identified the oxidation reaction, oxidizing agent, reducing agent. Ayan. So, hindi pa tayo nagbabalancing, pero don't worry, hindi na namin to sinama sa quiz, okay? So, ganun. So, hindi na naman to important masyado. Pero I just want you to have an idea na because this will be very useful in analytical chem. Okay? So, yan. So, again, this part is not included in the quiz, pero we will still discuss this so that when it comes to analytical chem na, pag nag-ana chem na tayo, mas madali na lang. Okay? So for example, kanina, we know that in this reaction, okay? So we know that in this reaction, sabi natin kanina, this one underwent oxidation reaction and this one underwent reduction reaction. You can actually split them into two, okay? So ano meaning natin when you split them into two? Just pag-iwalay mo lang sila ng reaction. Zinc to Zn2+, ito yon. H plus to H2, ito yon. Okay? So, ganun. So, ganun yung ginagawa sa redox usually. No? The oxidation reaction is split from the main equation, and the reduction reaction is also split from the main equation. So, pag-iwalay mo siya, yung isang equation magiging dalawa. Okay? So, mapansin mo that this shows the oxidation reaction, and this one shows the reduction reaction. So again, hindi to kasama sa quiz, but I want to discuss this para pagdating ng analytical chem, ayun, ano nyo na, may idea na kayo. Kasi ang analytical chem ang sisira sa ating buhay. Grabe yan eh. Pero yun. Anyway, so dito kasama sa quiz pero dinidiscuss ko para may idea kayo. Okay, so again, first thing na gagawin nyo, usually, in order for you to balance the redox reaction, you split the entire equation into two equations. The oxidation reaction equation and the reduction reaction equation. So pag-iwalayin mo lang sila, Zn to Zn2 plus H plus to H2. Ito yan. Then, ang gagawin mo next is to count the total charge per side of the reaction. So when you say total charge, that's usually coefficient times the charge. So for the reactant here, ang coefficient ay 1, ang charge ay, pag walang nilagay, edi 0. So ano yung charge dito? 0. Kasi 1 times 0, charge is 0, diba? On the other side, what's the total charge? So 1 yung coefficient mo dyan, positive 2 yung charge. So 1 times 2, positive 2. So same thing as this one. 1 times positive 1 is 1. 1 times 0 is 0. Okay? So ganun lang susunod mong gagawin. Split the equation into two. Determine the charge sa reactant and product of each equations. And then nakita mo, di ba? Since yung ating equation, ating charge hindi siya pantay. Okay? hindi pantay yung ating charge. Okay, the charges aren't equal na. For example, dito positive 2, dito 0. Dito positive 1, dito 0. So, paano mo daw pagpapantayin? So, sabi dito sa part ng PowerPoint na to is that you can add electrons. Okay? The electrons are used to bring down the charge. Okay? So, yung positive 2, para maging 0 yan, mag-add ka ng dalawang electron. Okay? So, you add electron para yung big charges lumiit. Okay? For example, ito, positive 1 yan, ito 0. So, to make this lower, okay, yung positive 1 gusto mo maging 0, you add 1 electron to this side. Kasi ito yung malaki. Okay? So again, the idea here is that you add electron to the side with the highest charge. 0, 2, edi sa 2 ka maglagay ng electron. 1 to, 0 yon, sa 1 ka maglagay ng electron. Ilang electron? Edi kung ilan kailangan to bring down the charge. No? So yung 2 para maging 0, ilagay ka dalawang electron kasi each of them will have a negative 1 charge. Okay? So ganun. Anyway, sa Anakim pa to, pero discuss ko na ngayon. And then, after you added electrons, what's next? Yung pinaghiwalay mo, pagsasamahin mo uli. Okay? Ang pinaghiwalay ay pagsasamahin muli. Okay. Yan. So, pagsasamahin natin uli. So, pag pinagsama mo yung equation, you have to make sure that the electrons are equal. Okay? So, kung 2 yung electron sa isang side ng equation, 1 yung electron dito, kailangan mag-equal sila. So that means I need to multiply this equation by 2. Bakit? Kasi 2 electrons dun eh. Kailangan 2 din dito. Okay? So 2 times 1, 2. Okay? So I need to do this. Okay. And then, once the electrons are balanced, I can combine them. Then mapapansin mo may electron sa left side, may electron sa last side. You can cancel them out. So the balance equation is this one. Okay? So yan. Pero anyway, Anakim naman na to kaya sige, Anakim na lang. Okay. Okay, sa Anakim na natin to uli i-discuss. Okay? And to summarize, ayan. Zinc undergoes oxidation reaction. Zinc is the reducing agent. Leora. Okay. H plus undergoes reduction reaction. H plus is the oxidizing agent. Geroa. Okay? So, yan. Reduction reaction, oxidizing agent. Okay? Ayan. So, yan. So, ganun. Ito, you can try working on this. No? Okay, so you can try working with this one. Don't worry, nasa PowerPoint na yung sagot. So, if you download the PowerPoint, anong slide yan? Slide 93. So, pag binuksan niya yung PowerPoint na yan, andito yung sagot sa ilalim. Okay? So, sagutan niyo muna to, and then, tignan niyo kung tama yung ginawa niya. Okay? And then, ayun, we have the practice quiz on Canvas as well. Dagdagan ko pa yung oxidation numbers. Okay? As requested by you guys. So, sige. That's fine with me. Okay? So, dagdagan ko to later. Ayan lang. So that ends our session, no? May i-complicate pa to in the future. Mas lalo pa to may complicated, especially in analytical chemistry. But bigyan ko na lang kayo ng application nito, no? So in biological cells, no, they actually do redox reactions. For example, alam niyo yung NADPH, no, nagiging NADP plus siya. NADH, naging NAD plus, no. So, yung oxygen, nagiging water in the body. So, basically, those are forms of redox reaction. In plants, the water is converted into oxygen. In humans, the oxygen are converted into water. Yung ating mga vitamins, vitamins, no, they produce specific molecules, no. that aids in the redox reaction in the body. So yeah, this is important na. Okay? Kasi once you reach your biochem, no? So kung ako ay magtuturo pa rin, baka ako maging teacher nyo rin doon. Anyway, so once you reach your biochem, you will see the biological importance of this lesson. Okay? So lahat ng nangyayari sa katawan ay redox din. Okay? So this is just the surface of the redox concepts. Pero ayun, sabi ko may mas i-complicate pa to in the Anachem, but its importance outweighs the complexity naman. Okay? Very important kasi ito sa body natin. Okay? So whether halaman ka or tao ka, ayan, may redox reaction sa katawan natin. So yeah, mahirap to at first, but gano'n naman eh, no? When you learn more, no, when you find something difficult, no, actually you are learning more out of it. Yeah, yeah. Ganun lang. So, yeah. So chemistry is a hard subject, but once you know all these concepts, no, ang dami mong pwede ma-explain. Pwede mo ma-explain ba't kinakalawang yung bakal. Bakit tayo nag-exhale ng carbon dioxide. Bakit tayo may energy. Ayan. So, all of them are redox reactions. So, ganun. So, that's the beauty of chem. Na, mahirap, pero maraming application. Even biology, magagamit ito. Okay? So, but for now, andun pa lang tayo sa part na hirap. Wala pa tayo sa appreciation. Ayan. Mahirap talaga siya. Okay? Pero yun, pag nakakabesado nyo to, super dali. Okay? Super dali na. Ay, tinulak ako ng aso. Tinulak ako ng aso. Okay, paglabas ka, check. Okay, so with that, ayun. I think this is the end of our chapter 4. For chapter 5, I am planning to make it asynchronous na lang. Okay? Kasi I want you to have more control on your time next week. Next week is the last week na regular. Ibig sabihin nun, finals na next week. So, good luck. So, next week is the last regular week. Okay? Papasok na tayo sa isa sa mga evil weeks sa buong SEM. Midterm pa lang. Midterm. Midterm. Okay. So, yeah. So, yan. So, see you again sa asynchronous na lang yung chapter 5. So, most likely, upload ko siya by Sunday. Okay. And then, ayun, midterm na. So, good luck. I am planning to also create a mock midterm test on Canvas. Mock midterm test lang. Okay, so siguro mga 20 items, 5 question per topic. So, kasi yung ating midterm exam, 50 items yun. So, gagawa ko ng mock midterm test by the weekend. No? So, yun. So, I hope na lahat ng efforts na yan magamit ninyo sa inyong classes. Okay? So, with that, thank you and see you again next time. So, bye-bye. And if you have questions, I know this topic is confusing, but yeah. Yan talaga, confusing talaga siya. But I hope that you learned something today. If you have any other question or clarification, just let me know. Okay? So, always open naman ng aking chat box for concern. Okay? So, with that, thank you and bye-bye. I'll see you again next time. Ingat. Sa mga lab class ko, mamaya may klase tayo. Stoichiometry. Bye-bye.
Thank you po, sir.
Bye-bye po.